Hey everyone, my name's Kerry Daigle. Welcome. This is a Keep Punching University call. We've got a big call for you tonight. I'm just so excited. Now, many of you and many of the new partners and affiliates that we have now may not know our keynote speaker tonight, Mr. John Blair. But let me be specific. Accolades, too many to mention. John was originally the Director of Corporate Development and New Product Ideas and Acquisitions, helping to make Juice Plus the most scientifically recognized product on the globe, while managing the expanding clinical research program that we're all so proud of. His assistance to building our brand came from his position as a member of CRN and serving as chair of the CRN in 2013 and 2014. The first study was published in 1996 in the Journal of Current Therapeutic Research, and it was done at UCLA Harbor Hospital. Now, thanks to John's leadership, we have 48 published studies in the most prestigious medical journals on the globe. Our future really is very bright. 2024, 2025, and 2026 will be years filled with incredible movements with our new CEO, Travis Garza, filled with exciting times as we move forward. You're going to learn a lot from John tonight. So today, as a stockbroker and former outstanding vice president with our company, John has told me recently, he said, Kerry, we are set for explosive growth. Just remember this, Kerry, it's impossible to buy back time you've lost, but you can now take control of your future. Tonight, we're going to learn about the 5 P's of opportunity with our company. Let's welcome John Blair. Take it away.
Thank you, Kerry and Mickey, and everyone else on the call. It's great to see your smiling faces, familiar faces, and to be with you tonight. It's unusual for me to talk about the opportunity for most of you, but what Kerry didn't say is when Juice Plus started for several years, I was vice president of sales and marketing and product and research. We had them all together. And then as we began to grow, we brought the great Doug Arscott down from Canada, and he followed me as the VP of sales and marketing, and I stayed in the area of product development and research because the product line was growing, the research was growing, and we needed more help at the management team, and Doug did a fantastic job. So when Kerry and I were talking about the opportunity, he said, well, most people don't know you for that. And I said, well, I'll share what I think about where we are today. And in order to organize that and make it simple, I'm going to give you my 5 P's of opportunity. So the first P is product. Now, any great company has got to be selling a great service or a great product. And we are blessed to have a world-class product line, as all of you know. I mean, 31 years ago, we were the pioneer of the concept of whole food-based nutrition. And basically, we were the first powdered produce product, or as some of you like to say, fruits and vegetables in a capsule. And I can remember my days at the Council for Responsible Nutrition in Washington, D.C., we used to do surveys, all sorts of things of the industry. And when people were asked why they supplement, the number one answer was always because, well, I don't eat right. Well, we all know what's missing in the diet, in the modern diet, primarily are the fresh fruits, vegetables, berries, and grapes, which have been displaced by packaged and processed products, fast food, packaged food, chemicals, so that's the problem. And our thinking was, well, if that's a problem, why don't you supplement with powdered produce from those products? It just makes sense. And we were fortunate to be able to put together a fantastic product without taking anything out of it. We now have a 31-year track record with millions of satisfied customers and not a single product liability issue in all those years. So it's just an amazing product. And Carrie mentioned, supported by clinical research. And I just want to give you a real quick summary. The most interesting thing about the clinical research to me is that it shows the breadth and the depth of Juice Plus. Now, you look at most supplements, and believe me, if you are deficient in a single vitamin, like vitamin D3, most of us are, because we don't absorb sunshine like we did as kids. And also when we go out in the sun, we cover up with sunscreen in order to prevent aging and the possibility of skin cancer. So I get that, but that's only there for one specific little issue. Even a multivitamin only has, maybe 30 different ingredients. In the Juice Plus products, the fruit, the veg, and the berry, we are talking about tens of thousands of nutrients from the plant kingdom. The most nutritious plants on earth, not just a single nutrient, not just vitamin C, or beta carotene or lutein or zeaxanthin, all of these things, and they're in nature's balance because we haven't changed the composition. We've just taken out the water. So it's just an amazing thing. And we have researched in areas of bioavailability of these nutrients. In other words, how they get absorbed into the body. We've talked about the reduction of oxidative stress, which is underlying cause of most chronic disease and early aging. We've had several studies on the immune system and improving that. We've had a number of studies on DNA, including nutrigenomics, how good food, in this case, Juice Plus, can actually help protect your DNA. And in terms of the expression in your genes, help you express the positive genes and suppress those that are negative, because we all carry them both. We've had studies on inflammation, on lung health, on healthy skin, on dental health, weight management. We've had a new one and more coming on cognitive function in the brain. It's just an amazing depth and breadth of research. And if your prospects, your potential customers, your friends, your family, your contacts want to know what all that means, let's put it in simple terms. It means wellness. It means vitality. It means more energy. It means better performance, not just for athletes, but for all of us in our everyday life. It means better recovery. Recovery from not just workouts and things that athletes experience, but recovery from a tough day, recovery from a long day, recovery from a stressful drive home from work. It means better quality of life. It means a sense of well-being, and they also translate into longevity. So if you're talking to anybody that wants any of those things, they're in the right place, because Juice Plus research proves that people will receive those benefits. And as Carrie said, these have been done at some of the leading academic and research institutions in the world. UCLA, Vanderbilt, MD Anderson, King's College in London, Sydney University, Tokyo Women's Medical University, worldwide recognition from great scientists. In fact, most of our investigators are what we call PIs, principal investigators. they are recognized at the top of their field in the specific research that they've done, whether it's on DNA or whether it's on exercise physiology or whether it's dental or skin. We have worked with the best researchers in these areas in the world. And you know what the best part is? All of these investigators and their team, the names of their team, and the names of the universities are on our studies. You know, they are published under the flagship of some of the greatest universities and greatest clinical researchers in the best journals in the world. So not only did my years at CRN teach me that nobody else has anywhere near this, in fact, altogether, they didn't have this volume of research, but this is the best of the best. I mean, this isn't a lab report that you send out down the street, you know, to check a few findings to get it back. This is something that takes years of development and investment and investigation, where the university opines on the safety of Juice Plus, on the sensibility of the program. We don't even get involved until it's done. So truly independent and truly impressive. And based on my experience and my exposure to the industry and my knowledge of everything else that's out there, I'm very confident in saying that there is no other nutritional support product, actually nutraceutical or pharmaceutical, that delivers the wide range of clinically proven benefits that you will get from Juice Plus. Simply put, Juice Plus is the best nutritional support product ever made. And we're just going to leave it at that. So now, when you talk about opportunity, you are starting with the Cadillac and the original in that product line. So, Kerry, what do you think about that?
Well, the first P is real interesting, but before we move to the second P, I've got one question for you, for the audience that's listening in.
Yeah.
We talk about CRN. Would you mind sharing a little bit about CRN and you serving as chair in 2013 and 14? How important was all that, and as far as the CRN being part of what we do?
Well, it's, you know, it is the leading trade association in the nutritional supplement industry, and all of the top companies are there. And I can tell you a few of those that get under our skin as so-called competition. They are not there. They are not eligible for being there. They are not qualified to be in there. You know, when you have government actions against you, you know, from the Justice Department and from you know, the FDA and the FTC, or you've got judgments against you, like in the state of California, you don't qualify for CRN. So these are the best of the best. And not only do they represent our competition, but I mean, our whole industry, but we met annually with senators and congressmen about issues that are important to the dietary supplement industry, to give consumers choice. We met quarterly in Washington, and at every single meeting was a representative of the FTC or the FDA or both. They also came to our national conferences. So we were plugged in to the center of regulatory affairs with respect to our industry in the country. These are the best of the best. And many of them are pharmaceutical companies that have nutritional products like Bayer and Pfizer and other big pharma companies. They were members of my board at CNN because they also own, they're hedging their bet, and they own nutritional supplement companies. You know, so these are major players in industry, and certainly the leaders in our industry. And when they found out about the Juice Plus research, they were blown away. That's all I can say.
Well, how about we have John Blair here, our former vice president of sales and marketing, and served on the board of directors. John, would you share the people listening the first time, what does CRN stand for?
Oh, it's the Council for Responsible Nutrition.
Thank you so much.
And years ago, and one last thing, Kerry, in 1996, there was a lot of pressure on the industry. We are regulated under the Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act of 1935. And there was a lot of pressure in the industry, and CRN led the industry organized effort to pass what's called DSHEA, the Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act of 1996, which is what we are governed by. CRN led the effort to get that legislation through Congress. So it's an important organization. If you're going to be in one, that's the one to be in.
Well, I wanted everyone to hear this because a lot of people are not familiar with really our background, and especially John was instrumental in making this the premier product, or what I call the GOAT of all products in the world, across the world. John, I'm a little curious. What's the second P? Let's hear it.
Well, the second P, Kerry, no surprise, is people. And, as you know, 30 some years ago when we got this rolling, most of us in corporate leadership were in our prime. Jay Martin, the founder, Charlie Evans, our COO, Elton DuBose. We had, of course, myself involved in there, Stan Turk as our CFO. But, Kerry, time marches on. And it's good companies that are built to last have to transition to new leadership and new growth. And we've taken a few years here to do this, but at this point in time, personally, I'm here to tell you that I am super excited about this new era and new generation of corporate leadership that we have. And all of these people are professional, experienced, but they're in their prime. First, of course, you mentioned Travis Garza. He's a proven leader. He's been successful as a CEO of 4 different direct selling companies. And just to give you a little bit about Travis's heart, one of those companies, he spent a year on an emergency basis when the founders of a pretty significant nutrition company in Utah died in a plane accident. And their board of directors called on Travis, can you help us? And I mean, on the spot, out of nowhere, he showed up for a year, stabilize them and keep them together till they could put a management team back in place before he moved on. So that's the kind of guy he is. I mean, he is not only dynamic and inspirational, energetic, innovative, he has a heart, and he understands us. And his experience in direct selling has taught him that we need to be collaborative with all of you. We need to listen. First thing he did, his first 90 days was what? It was a listening tour. Who does that? And so I'm just super excited that he's at the helm, because he's got the talent, the experience, and the personality that we need to move this business forward. And his partner as COO and CFO is Jay Thompson. Now, Jay is calm, cool, collected, just like you would expect a CFO to be. But he's more than that, because before Travis came on board, Jay actually served as the CEO of the company for a brief period of time. And I've got to tell you, from working with him, I'm a CPA myself by background. I worked at Price Waterhouse in my early years. For a financial executive, Jay is a strategic thinker. And just the two of them alone, I mean, he's thoughtful, he's professional, and he's strategic. And just Jay and Travis alone are a dynamic team. But now in recent months, we have added, and I'm super excited about this, a gentleman by the name of Bill Baker, who is an experienced CIO, which is Chief Information Officer, to head up our much needed digital transformation. And I'm telling you, Carrie, this is the most brilliant person I have ever seen in the IT space. I mean, he has worked with several direct sales companies. He has done this digital transformation before, and he has his finger on the pulse. Now, that doesn't mean that all these little fixes that we need are going to happen overnight, but he has a plan. It's already laid out, and I am just super excited that Bill Baker is leading this all-important effort, and we are very lucky to have attracted a guy like this, and I'm more confident than ever that we're going to have world-class digital support and IT support, so that the journey of our customers and the journey of our partners is a pleasant, supportive experience. Like the old days when people call in and said, man, the way those people treated me, I can't believe it. We're going to get back to that. We're going to get back to that, where doing business with us is a positive to support the business going forward. And it's not going to take long. Then you got Sean Hopkins. Sean, one of my favorite guys. I sort of consider Sean my protege in some ways, although I can't take all the credit, because Sean worked in every department. He worked overseas. He started on the customer service line. He's been in product. He's been in marketing. He's been in IT. I mean, he knows it all. And best of all, Sean knows the business, and he knows all of you. And to me, I mean, he's dynamic, he's dedicated, he's collaborative, and he's passionate. And I love Sean's presentation at our last conference about who does that, and outlining all the things that make our opportunity special. And he's just a great guy, and we are lucky to have him in as the Chief Revenue Officer. But Sean can do a lot of things, and he'll be there, and he'll be doing different things from time to time. He is a special guy who has the history and the knowledge. And finally, I'm excited to announce, and unfortunately I can't share the name yet, but we have hired a new Chief Marketing Officer, and she is a pro who has founded her own company. She's an entrepreneur that she's sold to a direct selling giant. She has worked in direct selling companies, and she is what we need in terms of marketing and product development and training. Again, a collaborative person who will work with Sean, who will work with Travis. She's innovative, and she is communicative. And I just think we're looking at a whole new era of the relationship between corporate and the field with the people that we've got on board. And speaking of that, when it comes to people, you can't talk about people without talking about you guys. And so many of the field leaders that are on this call tonight and all over the US and all over the world for us. We have just an amazing group of leadership, including Carrie and Mickey, that talked me into doing this call, and others on this line. And I just, you and Jimmy and others know a lot about sports. And you know that to have a championship team, it's usually a combination of wily veterans and young, enthusiastic, talented young stars. And that's what we've got in our organization right now. It takes everything, the energy and the excitement of new people who are looking to be the stars of the future. And all this together, I've got to say, we have a championship team. And I'm looking for amazing success and progress in the next few years ahead, just like Carrie said.
Well, that's the second P is people, if I'm not mistaken. That's what we
Yes,
were
sir.
talking about today. Second P. I had the opportunity, John, of meeting Bill Baker at the Canadian meeting. He's a remarkable man. I agree with that. And today I was even more excited. I spent about an hour on the phone with John Hopkins today. And really, I mean, he got me pumped up with a lot of good news. So I'm
Yes.
just so happy. He was telling me about the conversation he had with you also. And um, he was excited about this call. He says, "Man, I'm excited about you doing this call with John." I said, "Yeah, it's going to be great." Well, what's the third P though? We got product, we got people. So what's the
We got
third P?
the third P is the plan. It's
Okay.
the compensation plan. And I'm not going to get into the weeds in a lot of detail, but from 20,000 feet, I think it's important to understand its value. First of all, for those who are fairly new on the call tonight, the job of a Juice Plus partner is to share Juice Plus with as many people as possible. And then over time, encourage those that show enthusiasm to lock arms and come on board and join arms with you and repeat the process and do the same. It's a fairly simple job description. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's a fairly simple and straightforward job description. On the other hand, the company produces and tests the product. We take the orders, we ship the product, we track it, we account for it, we try to service our customers and our distributors and partners as best we can, and we pay you. So that's a good relationship. You know, we're doing all that detail stuff while you guys are free to make the contact, tell the story, and bring people into the fold. And for doing that, Carrie, we give a 45% of every sales dollar, which is significantly higher than the 34% industry average that we compare to. Now let's put that in some numbers. That is hundreds of millions of dollars a year that we share with you guys for your well-earned efforts to make this partnership run. And it's just amazing. And we want it to be more and more. You know, other aspects of the opportunity, as you know, positions are permanent. You know, there are ups and downs in this business, but when you reach a new level in the business, you stay at that level or above for the rest of your career. We have a business incentive bonus that can be up to 20% of your commissions, an additional 20%. We got a holiday bonus that can be up to $1,000. We have college tuition for you and for your kids up to $1,800 per year each. And we have a comprehensive healthcare plan for our top two positions in the company, which is one of the main reasons, if I were a partner, that I would be gunning for the top, because I'd want that healthcare package. We also do retreats and galas and more. I mean, and we have a lot of fun. So when you put this all together, like Sean Hopkins says, who does that? I mean, I think it is the best package in the entire industry. And yes, it gets a little complicated as you get a little bit into the weeds and doing it, but that's what upline leaders are there to help you, help younger people navigate through the program. And honestly, if they just share with others and invite others to join them and do the same, things have a tendency to work out. But overall, Carrie, I think it's a phenomenal compensation plan. And I think it has stood the test of time.
Wow. Okay. Product, first P. Second P, we talked about people. Third P was the plan. And of course, like John Hopkins says, who does that? Man, that's amazing. It really is. I've never seen anything like this anywhere in the world in business as an entrepreneur. I look at the Juice Plus company as the last bastion of free enterprise. I really do. I really believe that. So, John, what's the fourth P?
Well, I was thinking originally of 4, but this was the 5th, and I've added it in 4th place, and because I think it's important at this time in the history of our company, and that's partnership. You know, we've always had. Before coming to the Juice Plus company, I had dealt with hundreds of companies in my career as a consultant and in the Price Waterhouse days, and you could always look at the top. You could look at the leaders at the top, and you could see the culture of what the company was like. And Jay Martin, our founder, was a servant leader, and that's who he surrounded himself with. Other people who believed in the vision of helping as many people as possible realize their dreams. And it is a servant leadership model that has become a servant leadership culture. And you'll find that the executives are approachable, they're collaborative, they communicate, and also that you are valued. You as partners are recognized and honored and respected. And I think that this is what we call the Juice Plus family. And it all started with Jay. And that's the way he treats everybody. And that's the way we have all learned to treat people, to do our best to follow Jay's model. And Kerry, wouldn't you agree that this is different than most of corporate America?
Incredible. Nothing like it.
Yeah. Well, the last P, and this is a big one for me, and that is purpose. The Juice Plus company is mission driven. Most of you know it. It's inspiring healthy living around the world. But my friend Jason Jennings, who was a famous author, he authored many books, including Think Big and Act Small. He did his work by interviewing, he and his team, thousands and thousands of companies, CEOs, employees, millions of pages of information about interviews. And he had a saying. In fact, I met Jason because he was going to speak at a CRN conference. And being a smart guy who interviews corporate leaders, he called a few of us, including me, before the conference. And he said, well, tell me about your company. He says, he booked in half an hour of my time. We stayed on the phone for 2 hours. In fact, this conversation went on for years. He said, I just cannot believe what you're telling me. He says, this is the company I write about. And here was his most foundational expression from companies that were built to last. Great companies do well by doing good. And he said, that to me is the Juice Plus company. Not from me, but from a third party looking at us from the outside, who's looked at hundreds of companies in his experience. He's a specialist on leadership and growth and innovation. And in our business, we all know it. In your business and your teams, you do well by helping others realize their dreams. It's a great feeling. It's a great feeling when they succeed. Everyone is pulling for each other. I have a favorite expression that comes to my mind at every conference when I'm sitting in the front row and listening to the NMD speeches. And all of their people are down in front, and they're all wearing the team colors, and they're all just on pins and needles and so excited for the person who is up there and is walking across that stage. And what comes to my mind is, who's next? Because the greatest activity of every organization is when you're all pulling together to push someone up to NMD. Man, and it takes a village, it takes a team. And if I was the head of a team, Or if I was the person who just walked the stage, as soon as I'm off that stage, I'd say, okay, who's next? Who's going to step up and walk the stage at the next conference? And let's all get behind her. You know, it's a philosophy of support for others. And Carrie, the last thing I'm going to say about this is, I think the secret ingredient in our business today that you don't find in corporate America, and you don't even find in most direct selling companies, and that is that we offer a safe, positive, supportive environment in this crazy world. Your teams are a place to belong and become your best self. And the great teams are those that support each other and help each other in their journeys, good times and bad. I mean, you know, 30 years, something's going to go wrong, you know, and our teams are there to help each other in good times and bad. And you just cannot find that kind of safe place of support in this crazy world today. I mean, it's just it's just amazing to me. And honestly, we'll talk about conference in a minute, but one of the most important things about it is for some new person to see the positiveness, the energy, the supportiveness that takes place, and understand that this is what's coming for you if you become part of this family. And you just cannot find that anywhere today, Carrie. It's worth its weight in gold. So that's my opening, but I'm sure you've got a couple of questions there, Carrie.
Well, I do. First of all, you've been with us since the beginning with Juice Plus, of course, and you've led the way for us and set the precedent for us to really make this a great company.
Mm-hmm.
We all, as any company would, occasionally will have challenges or obstacles. But I believe that challenges and obstacles are really opportunities in disguise to test us, to see if we really want success individually. How do we overcome that? How do we get better? Mickey and I have been with the company 34 years, John, you know that.
Yes.
And we believe from our past experience that 2024, 2025, and 2026 are going to be record-breaking years. We see the writing on the wall just from having this conversation with Sean Hopkins today, having a conversation with you, John, about the future and what's going on. It's exciting days are right ahead of us. Would you mind sharing your thoughts about that?
Well, Carrie, I couldn't agree more. And like I said, you know, we have world-class product line. We have now in place a new generation of world-class corporate management. You know how good our field leaders are and what experience and professionalism and talent we've got there. It's all in place. And so I asked myself this question: does the world still need Juice Plus? Is there still people out there? Well, and honestly, Carrie, the world needs Juice Plus now more than it did 30 years ago, more than ever. Think about it. Is life more stressful today or less stressful than it was 30 years ago? I mean, look at the 24/7 news cycle. Look at the traffic. You know, it's just all the stuff that's going in our world. Just the crazy divisions in our country. And I don't want to get sidetracked on the Second Amendment. I'm a big supporter of the Second Amendment, but the shootings and things, I mean, things like that just never happened 30 years ago. It is a very stressful world, and people need safe place and they need help. The world is eating fewer fruits and vegetables today than it was 30 years ago. Do you think there's going to be more fast food places or less going forward? There's new ones popping up every day. Is there going to be more packaged and processed food going forward with chemicals, etc., and complex labels that we can't read, or less? There's going to be more. I mean, you think about it, every single aspect that led to the need for Juice Plus is greater today than it was back then. And we are poised. We are ready to go. How about chronic disease? There are more people getting sick today than there were back then. And we just got through a pandemic, and I don't think it's the last one we're going to see. You know, and that's a scary thing. That didn't happen back in the 90s. And the cost of healthcare, is it going down? No, it's still going up. All these factors that led to the value and need for Juice Plus are stronger than ever. And we help solve all of these issues. And now is the time to get on board and catch the wave and be part of that solution, because we are going to help solve it. I know it.
I'll believe it. John, how about some final comments before we close this baby down? What you got?
Well, like I said, I just think with the Indy conference coming up, I think people should be looking ahead at that and building for that. We got an exciting new product coming, product launch. And that's where new people can see the big picture, the inspiration, the education, the information that they need to make a good decision. And I just encourage people out there to come and see and join the positive, healthy, purpose-driven Juice Plus family and see for themselves. And I know the future is bright. Thank you, Carrie, Mickey. Thanks, everybody. Great being with you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, John. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.